Hello guys, how are you going? So hope you guys are having a good day today. Having a pretty chill day, pretty nice outside as well, so it's pretty cool. So looking forward to this live chat today with Gino. There he is. Alright, send him an invite. Alright, let's get going. Hi Kelly. Hello, how are you going? Oh, can you hear me, Gino?
Yeah,
Yep.
just
Oh,
adjusting my camera here.
that's so good. Oh, bring
Oh,
that a bit lower. Here we go.
get in there.
That's right, man. There's no hurry. It's a pretty chill chat. Just having a nice casual chat.
There we go.
There we go. How you going? Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I
How are
know.
you?
Good man. Beautiful day outside. I'm gonna go for a walk a bit later.
Yeah, that was gorgeous. Spring's here.
I reckon, apart from like a few windy days last week, today is beautiful.
Yeah, no, she's come with a vengeance with all that wind, man.
I reckon it was like holy smoke.
Yeah.
All right. I see a few guys have joined us now, which is pretty cool. Obviously, we're here talking to Gino today, and Gino, you want to give us a real brief intro? I know you've done so many stuff. Just give us a brief intro of what you do.
Yeah. Well, my name is Gino Acevedo. I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona.
Ooh,
Yeehaw!
yeah.
And redneck country. Anyways, I got started when I was quite young. Always into monsters and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of the same old story with a lot of these monster makers. But my real start is when I was about 18. I started with a blowing company in Phoenix, and that really opened the doors for me to to help build my craft and meet a lot of contacts over in Los Angeles. But that's another story. But anyways, went to LA, worked in the film industry there for about 15 years. Long story short, I met Richard and Tanya from What a Workshop, became great friends, and they brought me over to New Zealand to help look after the makeup effects on The Lord of the Rings. And that was over 20 years ago, and here I am, still here after
And
20 years.
I know it's crazy. Yeah, 20 years. How time flies. Like it's crazy. I mean, like I remember watching Lord of the Rings for the first time when I was back at high school, and watching you guys on the extended DVD edition
Oh yeah,
talking about stuff, and obviously myself working with it too now is like so crazy how the film industry works. Because like I came in for 4 days as well for a wedding workshop. I got given a 4 day contract. It's been 7 years now. It's funny how things work in the industry. Yeah, you know,
it is.
you
There's something about Weta and the magic that Richard and Tanya have about
yeah,
bringing people out and
yeah,
just because originally it was supposed to be for 3 months.
yep,
They said come on over for 3 months and see how we like working with you and how you like
yep,
working with us. And
yep,
look, if it doesn't work out, then hey, you got a free trip to New Zealand.
yeah, man.
But if it does work out, well, you know, over 20 years later, here I am. They're
Yeah,
such great people.
yeah, they are. They're extremely humble for who they are. You know, Richard is just a
Incredible.
just
Yeah,
just a normal dude. You know, he just a typical Kiwi man. Just enjoy what he does. It's really good.
yeah, absolutely. Talk about somebody with passion. Both of
Yeah,
them have incredible passion and drive, and also just a passion for people. They love people. They love taking care of people.
yep,
And they bring in these people, and it becomes their family. And so
yep,
they're incredible people. Some of my best friends, and I'm very fortunate, just like you are,
yep.
and so many of us are. To be working at Weta with them. I'm no
Oh,
longer with Weta Workshop, but I'm over at Weta Digital. But that's another story how I made that transition.
yeah. I mean, I feel like we are totally lucky that they pick up the mantle like 3 odd years ago to make this thing work. Because without them, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Meeting amazing people, getting to travel the world, and working on some cool projects. Talk about cool projects. Holy smoke! I watched that Stan Winston interview. There was so much more you did. I have no idea. It's like, wow, you did that as well.
Yeah,
That's
that was a great interview. I did that about I must have been about 3 or 4 years ago, I think, with
Yep,
Matt Winston, which is Stan Winston's son,
yep,
who's a great guy, and the whole Stan Winston School is really an incredible program that they have there,
yep,
and it's also just great advice. Anybody who wants to get into special makeup effects or fabrication and all that kind of stuff, they've got an online kind of school kind of thing where you can sign up for, and it's
Yeah.
really really worthwhile. It's really fantastic, and it's also because they have a lot of people in the industry to be able to talk about their careers and how they got started, and also giving demonstrations on how to do makeup effects and fabrication, sculpting, mold making, painting, just about everything you need to know.
Yeah, it's a great place too. Also, I started there too. Before I started Weta, I actually joined up to their classes as well and watched quite a few of their. It's really good. It's a beautiful place to share knowledge. That's what I really enjoy. It's them trying to nurture the next generation and stuff. So it's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, let's just talk about some of your. Camera's gone. That's right. So good. And yeah, talk about some of your old stuff. I didn't realize you worked on Species as well. Holy smoke. That was cool,
that was with Steve Johnson. Steve Johnson had a company called XFX. Brilliant company, and he's an incredible, brilliant talent. He's always been one of my heroes, and I was asked to join to work on Species by my friend Norman Cabrera, who's another amazing artist, and who just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Norman! If you're out there. And because they also knew how much I loved H.R. Giger's stuff, from Alien.
Yeah. Oh, he's amazing.
And I was a huge fan ever since I was in high school. The first time I saw his book, Necronomicon, just blew me away. But I started to really trying to incorporate his painting techniques, and because I did a lot of airbrushing, and this was after I had gone over to work on Alien 3, and did the painting design work on that. And then came over to Species, and again, Norman knew how much I loved Giger's stuff, and he said, "Look, I think you're going to really love to design the paint schemes with Species." And so Norman and I got to paint Syl, who was the main creature in that, and it was a H.R. Giger design, and brought to life by Steve Johnson's XFX. But that was a great show to work on.
Yeah. Have you ever been out to his museum in Switzerland?
No, I haven't. One of these days.
I have. I have. It's amazing. I went there, but maybe 3 years ago. I've got a funny story about that. So, where the museum is next to a castle. So you have like a medieval castle with knight's armor, sword, and you have this little museum, which is Giga. As we went in, these two English couple came out. They were in their 60s, I reckon, and they came out. Their eyes wide open. They were shocked. They had no idea what's going to be inside the exhibition, and I was like, they were demanding a refund.
Losers.
They were talking to the girl at the counter. This is disgusting. This is not art. How can you show this stuff to the public? And the poor girl, her English wasn't that great. So she was like, I was like, hey guys, are you okay? He said, oh my God, this is disgusting. How you going to see this? I'm like, you got to do research before you go into this exhibition? No. Well, you have to. You can't just go into a show not knowing who the artist is and expect to be who you think it is. And oh my God, it was so funny. They had no idea.
They should have walked out of there with their mind exploding and just going, oh my God, I've just found a new favorite artist.
Yep. Oh, it was so funny. And I walked in and was like, what? That he's awesome, man. It's like amazing stuff. I love his series.
Never had a chance to meet him because when we were working on Alien 3, he was a bit pissed off that he wasn't asked at first to design the alien. And so I was working with my friends Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff of Amalgamated Dynamics Incorporated in Los Angeles, and so they were the key designers, as well as had input from Giger as well. And we made the suits, and we had an incredible team there. We had Yuri Everson, who was part of the team, and so many others. But I remember that we were really hoping he was going to come down to Pinewood Studios and come and see the work that we had been doing, and just to kind of work with us. But he refused to come down. So, but he would back then he would fax over. This is back in the days of fax. Fax these sketches, these pen sketches of his ideas and stuff, and so that was quite interesting. But then Alec and Tom actually went over to go visit him and show him the designs and stuff. And I had my Necronomicon book with me, and I said, "Okay, guys, take this and please have him sign this." So he did sign that for me. And then it wasn't until years later, then you just talked about species, you know,
Yeah.
that we were sending, or Steve was sending designs back to Giger of the stuff that we were working on for Sil.
Yeah.
And he loved it. He loved everything we did. And he at one time he marveled at the paint job, and it's like, oh,
yes.
so that was a great plus for Norman and I. He's like, yes, okay. And then years later, then coming out here, Richard had an opportunity to possibly do something with Giger and the Giger.
Oh, did he?
Oh. And so we were going to try to come up with some things, and I came up with a couple of ideas of some little products and stuff. And Richard had actually gone out there with the family, with Tanya and their son Sam at the time, and Sam was probably about maybe 5, I think. Yeah. And Richard told me that they were going to go out there and present him with some of these ideas.
Yeah.
And so I was really anxious to hear back from what he's going to think of the stuff. Yeah. And so I was driving along into High Tai Tai, and my phone rang, and I pulled over, and I picked up the phone, and it's Richard. It's like, hey, mate. I said, Richard, hey, how's it going? I said, how did it go with Giger? And he goes, hang on a minute. And then on the phone, he goes, hello, Gino?
Oh, that's awesome. Giger? Lucky you stopped the car. Lucky you stopped the car. You'd be like,
exactly. I had an accident. Yep. And he goes, yes. And he said, I just want to tell you, I've always loved your paint jobs, from Alien 3 to Species. Yeah. And I thought, oh my God, this is great. Yeah. And we had a quick little chat. And so that was, you can't see it, but the hairs are standing up on my arm right now. Yeah, man. Oh, just remembering that. But it's just, you know, one of my great inspirations, and still is to this day, and to so many people, you know.
That's what I love about, you know, when you get to meet your heroes. Like myself, actually meeting you as well, is see how nice people are. You know, everyone you look up to, and to have to be such a nice person as well is really good.
Oh, and you're a jerk.
No, thanks, man. I knew it. All right, no more crafting session for you. No, it's been really cool.
I think it's important. It's important to, you know, it's the old saying, it's like, treat people the way you want to be treated. It's as simple as that. You know, of course, there's going to be a lot of shitheads out there, but there's more nice people than shitheads. Yeah. And that's one of the important things, you know, that I always tell a lot of people that want to get into the business, or any business at all. It's like, you know, I even tell this to my daughter, and she knows this, you know, treat people the way they want to be treated, but just be nice. And it comes across, if you have a great personality, and you may not have, you know, incredible talent, but, you know, if you've got great personality, that's going to really help you go far. Oh, and that's something that even Richard says, you know, that he doesn't always hire because of the experience you have, but if you have that drive and that passion, you know, he's going to grab you for that.
Yeah, he told me, like, he can see in the first 3 seconds if he's going to hire you or not. If you're talking about your project and you haven't got that twinkle in your eyes, he will not hire you. He told me that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's just having that kind of passion, and luckily I had that ever since I was a little kid. I always loved the monster stuff, you know. Yeah, man. And I loved drawing and painting and airbrushing, and I always did that, and it just, you know, it got me to where I am today.
Oh, it's just by having fun, I reckon. You know, just having fun, and just having that attitude that you are always learning. You know, you never know everything. You know, there's so much stuff out there that you want to try out, and especially with the world of social media these days. You're on there and you see people out there doing such cool stuff. I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. I want to give it a go. You know, that's how I roll. Anyway, you know, see something amazing. Hey guys, got any questions for Gino? Make sure you pop it in the chat, and we'll try to get them through to him as well. But don't forget that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, man, bring it on. He's ready. He's ready for this. Anyway, actually, I'm going to do some housework today. I've got to paint the hallway.
You got the baby coming.
I know, in the next month. It was scary.
Wow.
Last week, or just in the workshop, when the boys asked me, "Oh, when the baby's due?" I said, "October." They're like, what, next month? I was like, uh-oh. It's next month. Damn it. Yeah.
You'll never be ready for it, but once do you know if it's a boy or a girl?
Not yet. We're having a little thing in a couple of weeks, and we'll find out then.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. I mean, like, people ask me, what's the baby first costume? That's been the question. So I've got two costumes just in case. So if you'll love this. If it's a girl, I'm gonna do aliens. So I'll do the little mixed suit, the yellow suit. It should be a little Ripley in
Yeah.
here. So that's for if she's a girl. If he's a boy, I'll be Hulkbuster. He can be Iron Man.
I have a feeling it's going to be a girl.
Okay,
I really do.
Gino says a girl. All right. Here we go. We'll find out soon. Really soon.
Eddie's little girl.
Yeah.
Just like my daughter Ruby. You know, I'm always Daddy's little girl.
There's a question about Avatar 2. We probably can't speak about that, unfortunately. Not yet. Not yet.
They're making another one?
I know. What's that? They're making what? we have to deny anything happened with that movie for the moment, anyway. Anyway,
Yeah.
other favorite film that you worked on is Spawn. Holy smoke! That was a cool movie for the time that it came out. I used to read the comics. Used to love drawing the comics. You know, Spawn. Used to love his capes and the way his spikes would come up and the helmet and the belt. It was such a cool character. It must be a lot of fun working on that movie.
It was very cool because as I was a huge Spawn fan. Because I used to read the comics and stuff. I'm a huge Todd McFarlane fan, and it was great because Todd would come over to the workshop. And at the time, I was working for a company called K&B Effects. That was Howard Berger, Greg Nicotero, and Bob Kurtzman. And so their last names, the letters were K&B. And a great shop, and they've done so many movies, so many cool films. And so Howard called me and asked me, he said, hey, we just got this show called Spawn. I said, Todd McFarlane, Spawn? He said, yeah. I'd like you to come over and sculpt the suit. It's like, sculpt the Spawn suit?
He's like, what?
And, I was, I did a bit of sculpting, but my strong point, I always felt my strong point was painting and designing the paint schemes for characters and creatures and doing makeup and stuff like that. But never really sculpting, especially something that big, like a full suit. And I said, I've never done anything that big, Howard. He says, oh, come on, you can do it. So it was good for me to venture out of my comfort zone, which is always good to do every now and then. And I was just really worried about it, and went ahead and did it with a friend of mine, and his name's Bill. And so Bill and I sculpted the suit, and we had a life cast of the actor, and sculpted the suit on top of him, and it was a lot of fun. It was great. And after we did it, it was like, yeah, I can do this. It was hard work, but it was a lot of fun. And we had a great relationship with Todd McFarlane, because he would come in and go, wow, this is looking cool, guys. I really love it. And then I designed the paint scheme for the makeup on the person.
Oh yeah.
And I would go on set with Howard and help him apply that on the actor. And it was just such a fun show. And of course we had John Leguizamo, who played the clown.
Yeah.
And,
he's really cool.
He's perfect for that because he was just hysterical.
Yeah, he sounded like a really funny guy. It was really cool. Love his role in the movie. I felt the same way when I got to work on Power Rangers. Also I grew up in the 90s. I used to watch the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and that was my first gig in the costume department. Was the Power Rangers, and also Rob Gurley said, "Oh, go to see Bryce. Go to costume." And I got there on my desk. What's the Red Ranger? I was like, "Oh, great, no pressure." The first suit I'm ever going to make is going to be the iconic Red Ranger, which that Ranger is the reason why my favorite color is red. I love red because the Red Ranger. So I was like, "Uh-oh, here we go. If I screw this up, I'll disappoint myself. I'll disappoint all the fans out there too." It's like, great, no pressure.
You'll need to pick another color after that if you screw it up.
I know, I have to choose different color. But now that was it's always cool to work on stuff that you have passion about, I guess, because you will give extra 110% because you actually love it so much that you have to make sure everything's perfect.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, very cool.
Yeah, man. So talk about actors. So which actor you find the most kind of funniest to work with, putting makeup on, always cracking jokes, and always, is there one that kind of popped in your head? I've seen with quite a few.
There's quite a few, yeah. But I mean, I think probably all the actors that I've worked with, though, just working with some amazing talents on the Lord of the Rings was incredible. And I think probably I really don't get starstruck per se. But
Yeah.
I think I definitely got starstruck when I met Christopher Lee,
Oh,
Sir
I saw
Christopher
so.
Lee.
Yeah.
Bless him. And just because I grew up watching all the English Hammer films, and of course Chris Lee was Dracula, and
Yeah.
that's all I saw. And Chris, there's only been a couple of actors that I've ever met that have this persona about them, and they have this
Yeah.
aura about them. When they walk into a room, they can just you feel their presence. It's like the
Yeah.
force.
Yeah.
And I swore when Christopher walked into the makeup room, he didn't walk in; he just kind of just floated.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
Just
And
like Dracula floats.
yeah,
Floated.
exactly. And he had this deep, booming voice. And I remember the first time that I had to put on his fake nose. A lot of people don't realize it,
Yeah.
that he and Ian McKellen were wearing fake noses, which is good because I mean, if people knew that they were wearing a fake nose, then I had to do a very good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, but with Christopher, Peter, Fran, and Philippa had decided that they just wanted to give him a little bit of a hook nose.
Yeah.
To his nose, just to make him look, that much more sinister.
Yeah.
And so the nose was sculpted by Michael Asquith, who's a brilliant sculptor who was at a workshop. And the pieces were made out of this material called gelatin, which gelatin is a very translucent material, and it's beautiful to work with, and it blends off into the skin. And it's really incredible. Nowadays, we'd use another material called silicone, process appliances that we would use. This is before all that stuff. But anyways, I remember first putting on his makeup, and with these pieces, they're quite delicate because the edges are very, very thin. And you have to be careful to glue them on very carefully so that the edges blend right into the skin. Otherwise, you'll get what we call a seam. You'll see a line there. It'll just be a giveaway. And you normally have to always you have to stay really still. When the actor has to stay still when you put it on a piece like that, just so it doesn't go crooked or anything like that.
Yeah.
And, so I had a sharp pair of tweezers and my glue brush, and I'm explaining to Christopher, this is the piece, it's gelatin, blah blah blah, and I'm going to put it on your nose. And he goes, "Oh, that's fantastic, it's great." And he's telling me all about all the makeup artists that had worked on throughout his whole career, which I knew all the makeup artists, and I was just in awe. I said, "Holy shit, here I am, little kid from Arizona, working with Christopher Lee, putting on a nose on him." But the thing with Christopher is that he loves to talk. He has all these incredible stories, and his memory is incredible. I mean, at that time, he worked on like 270 films, I think. And he had this incredible memory where he could go back to the second film he was on and tell you who made him a cup of tea that afternoon. I mean, just really incredible. Anyways, he's telling me all these stories, and I didn't have the heart to say, I said, "Christopher, could you please stay still so I can nose on you?" He's talking to realize that I've done and here I am with the tweezers and stuff. And the whole time I'm thinking this is, God, whatever you do, don't poke him in the eye with those tweezers. Don't poke him in the eye. And I've got this great photograph where I'm so intense that I've got beads of sweat coming down my forehead. I was so nervous. That was an incredible experience, working with Christopher.
Yeah, and your hands be like shaking as well at the same time. You're like, hands shaking, he's moving. It's like, oh, great, here we go.
Exactly.
So there's a question here from Ryan. Differences in approach when handling Ape series versus something like Lord of the Rings.
I'm sorry, say that again?
A different approach when you're handling the Ape series and versus Lord of the Rings. So the apes, I think like digital or physical. I'm not quite sure. Ryan, can you like specify that question, man? That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Apes was totally digital, but just to elaborate a little bit on part of that question. A funny story is that by this time I had ventured over to Weta Digital, working with them. And at the time I was looking after the textures department, and I looked after the textures department for about 7 years, I think. But anyways, when we found out we were going to be doing the first Planet of the Apes, I mean, I was ecstatic about it because I'm a huge fan of the original Planet of the Apes, with Charlton Heston and Roddy McDowell. And that's one of the shows that really got me into doing what I do, is watching that original show. And when I found out we were going to be doing that, I was just so excited. And I read the script, and I read the description of them, how they're a little bit humanoid, but they're still very, very ape-like. Yeah. And so there's no way that we could have put somebody into a makeup, to make that work, And but as soon as the outside world all my friends in LA found out we were going to be doing the Apes. All my makeup friends, he goes, "Hey, Gino, we found out you're doing Planet of the Apes. I've got my bags packed. I've got my makeup kit packed. And I said, I'm ready to come over and make some apes." And it's like, well, actually, they're not going to be makeup. It's all going to be CG. And they're going, no, it can't be. I said, no, it is, because they're not going to be, as I said, they're kind of humanoid, but they're going to be very, very ape-like, and there's no way that the makeups are going to work on a human being. And they were all, I got all these, hate emails, love hate.
You've gone to the dark side.
Out of the dark side, yeah, exactly. And so it wasn't until the film finally came out and they go, "Oh, yeah, okay, now I get it." And of course they were all blown away by just with the technology and stuff. And yeah, there's no way that we could have put somebody into a makeup like that and made it look as good as it did.
Yeah, I mean, like, even you go back to the days of like Andy Serkis on Lord of the Rings, to make Gollum, for the performance that Gollum did, there's no way you guys can put, someone in a suit. Obviously, Gollum was so skinny. For one, he's skinny and tiny.
Exactly. Yeah, there was one time. There was a time in the beginning when discussions were, it's like, can we do a makeup like this on a person? But then the problem was, looking at the designs and the maquettes and stuff, that there's no way that anybody that skinny and with those kind of proportions is actually could be live. So that's it had to be digital, except for some of the scenes where he goes into his transformation, where we transformed Andy, into the stages as he goes from Smeagol into Gollum.
Yeah, that was an awesome sequel right at the beginning. I mean, my mum came to my house and I showed her the start of the Two Towers, and she said, "No, that's too scary. I can't watch that. No, I can't do it." So you did a good job there. She could not watch the movie because she was too scared of the makeup.
Did he come back with a question? Did I answer that?
No. You were right. You were on the spot. He was worried about digital and physical. Other story I want you to talk about is about John Rhys Davies with his makeup. Remember watching the behind the scene, how he had a love-hate relationship with his makeup, and how you guys gave him the last makeup of his dwarf costume ever, and he threw into the fire. That was quite funny.
Yeah. He burned it.
Yeah.
He couldn't wait to do that.
Oh man, poor guy.
Yeah. I really felt for John. John is a great guy, and we still keep in touch all these years.
Yeah.
After all these years, and we did torture him a bit, and unfortunately, he had a really bad reaction under his eyes here.
Yeah.
To the makeup, and it was to the adhesives and I think we got him in that makeup close to 100 times, I think, over the years, and I have to say, it's like and anybody that does prosthetic makeup should wear prosthetics so that they can see what it's really like. And I've done that, and I'd rather be behind the brush rather than be on the other end of the brush. Yeah, I'd rather give than receive. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Because I played one of the Dwarf Lords in the very first film, and so I had the full makeup and everything. It's like, oh my god, it was so itchy, and it was interesting from the standpoint of sitting in the makeup chair. Dominique Hill, who's a brilliant makeup artist who now lives in Los Angeles, did my makeup. And she did a beautiful job on the hair work and the coloration and everything. But it was just so weird to sit in the makeup chair, look in the mirror, kind of see myself, because the only thing that was me were my eyes and my lower lip. Yeah. And it was just so weird looking at that mirror and just seeing the other person. So that and from that standpoint, it's like it's really interesting for an actor to really help become that kind of a character. And to really get into the character by having this wearing a makeup like that. But with John, it was like putting him into that makeup, and it was sculpted by Jamie Bitworth, who did a beautiful job on that. And it was such a beautiful, very subtle makeup. It was a full face piece, but a lot of people don't realize that his full face is actually a prosthetic. And at that time, we came up with a new technique of silicone blinds. It's our own kind of version, not like the stuff we have today, but because the silicone is so translucent like our skin, and I pre-painted all the pieces, And I love painting silicone, to get it to look just like flesh, and everything blended just so beautifully. And I was gonna say there was a time when yeah, well, there was that time at the very last time we put him into the makeup. He says, I want to burn this. So we remember that day when we wrapped. Dominic and I took off his makeup, and he just held it in his hand. He said, "Oh, I want to burn this," and and it was his going away. It was like after each actor finished, it was their last day. They had a special little ceremony, and Peter would have a little speech for them saying, thanks for coming, it's been amazing, blah blah blah, and Peter would give them something that was part of their character. And in this case, I think Peter gave Gimli his helmet, and gave John his helmet, and they had this little like a little kind of a little fire in the studio. And Peter goes, John, I believe that you wanted to do something with your last prosthetic. He goes, yes. He goes, I want to burn this thing. And so he grabbed it from us and got it and just threw it into the fire.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of the funny stories that people don't realize it, but on John's his left hand, on his middle finger, he's missing the end of his finger here. So he just has a stump there. And I think what happened, he was working on his car many years ago, and the car accidentally turned on, and the fan blade, got his finger. So he's got this stump, and I had this idea. I said, John, we could do something interesting with that. I said, maybe we could do something where, let me take a cast of your right middle finger, and which I did, and I made a duplicate out of gelatin, and I got it and glued it onto his stump. So it blended off, and it looked like he had just a full 10 fingers. And then what I did is that on this finger here, I got a knife and cut into the appliance, and so that and when he bent it over like this, the whole thing would just split open. But when he folded it back up, it looked perfect. And I said, maybe you can go to Pete and say you've got this idea, because you're a dwarf and you're so staunch, that maybe you could be sitting around the campfire and you take off your glove and you say, a bloody orc, got to hold him with a finger. Take off your glove and you can do your finger like that, but you get your knife and just cut the end off. And so John goes, let me go see Pete. Excuse me. And so John is in his full makeup and costume and stuff, and Pete's sitting in his director's chair, and John goes to Pete and he goes, boss, I've had a bit of an accident. And Pete's going, what happened? And he says, well, I was out fishing this afternoon and looked at my finger, and then John got his finger and then bent it back like that and put it open. And Pete goes, wait, medic, we need the medic now. It totally freaked him out. We were all laughing, and Pete's going like, why are you guys laughing? And then John was laughing. He said, oh, it's just a gag.
Oh, that's awesome.
We finally it's really hard to get Pete with a joke or anything like that, so but we got big time that time.
That's good, man. But being a dwarf lord, it wasn't your only cameo in the movie, though. Maybe a sea pirate as well.
A Corsair pirate. So I didn't learn my lesson. And so it was. This came on quite early, when we were filming the first film, that they were looking for these Corsair pirates, and my now wife, Liz Mullane, was casting director and still is. And so we thought we'd do like a cameo of these Corsair pirates. So it was myself, it was Richard Taylor, and one of the producers, Rick Forrest, and who else was it?
Peter was as well.
And Peter, of course, Peter, and then and Peter Dalbin, who actually was like the real actor that was in the whole thing. And so we all got to be these Corsair pirates. And there's a funny thing that's on YouTube, if you guys want to look at it. Type in my name and put Gino Acevedo cameos, and you'll see the It's very funny. But we all got to be had these cool makeups, and friend Tammy Lane did my makeup and gave me these cool kind of long, greasy kind of hair stuff, and did like some tattoos on my face. And but we all had a lot of fun doing that stuff.
I mean, I look back at it. It's also 20 years ago, how young you guys were. You guys were like younger than me now, and you guys have so much responsibilities on your shoulders. You know, being that young, and I was like, holy smoke! If I was in my 30s, having to look after pretty much the highest grossing film at the time, I'll lose my head. You guys did such an amazing job on Lord of the Rings for being, obviously in my case, being so young. It's crazy.
No,
Richard and
thanks. Thank
Tanya,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
Well,
it was a great team. It was a great collaboration of incredible
yeah,
talents all across the board. Everybody that worked on it.
yeah,
Everybody from catering, to the people that swept the floors, to
yeah,
up to the top brass. But it
yeah,
was just an incredible. It was a great big family, is what it was.
yeah.
And
Maybe it
I
wasn't.
don't think I've ever come across another film, working on another film like that, like the way that was.
It was like what? How long was? What, 7 years? Did you guys carry on the whole
About that,
thing?
yeah. But totally, my total time on the film, because I was also working at What a Digital as well. So working there. So it was probably about 8 or 9 years, something like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We got a question here. Does Gino miss his puppeteer's days? He had no idea you work on Death Become Her as well.
Oh yeah. That was a great show to work on.
Yeah.
And yes, I do miss puppeteering. I love puppets and that kind of stuff. In fact, I've got some ideas that I want to do some stuff for like a bit of a kids show.
Nice.
But puppeteering was always great because it's the fun thing about making the puppets is building this thing, starting with a lump of clay, molding it, casting it, painting it, and getting the guys to do the animatronics to it,
Yeah.
and then be part of the puppeteer team to help make this character come to life.
Yeah.
And with Death Becomes Her, I mean, that was a great one to work with. The amazing Meryl Streep, who is such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And on again, I was working over at ADI Amalgamated Dynamics with Alec and Tom, and we had just started playing around with a new material, with a silicone material for the skin.
Yeah.
And before that, we would use different urethanes, which weren't great, and foam rubber. Foam rubber is a great material to work with, but it's not translucent; it's very opaque. So you have to be really careful about how it's painted and how it's lit and all that kind of stuff. But with the silicone material, because it is so translucent anyway, is that's half the battle right there.
Yeah.
Anyways, we made these really cool puppets, and I was involved in doing the final details. I love detailing stuff.
Oh yeah, man.
And so I was doing all the close-up, pores, dot on Meryl Streep's face. And I'll never forget when we went on set with the puppet. And it was the first time Meryl got to see herself, as a puppet.
Yeah.
And the animatronics were just really incredible by Dave Nelson and the team, and she was just blown away by it. And it was programmed to be able to talk as well. And she says something like, "Ernest, you pushed me down the stairs."
Yeah.
So the lip sync and everything like that was
Oh
incredible.
wow.
It was
That's
done
crazy.
by this guy Brock Winkless, who did this incredible puppeteering for to register the voice to the lips, the lip sync. And anyway, but Meryl was looking at the puppet, and she goes, "Wow, it looks so amazing, it looks so lifelike, and the eyes move and everything." And I said, I studied your face, and I said, and I know every single pore on your face. She grabbed my face, and she goes, "And you're going to keep that a secret, aren't you?"
That's awesome.
Of course, Meryl, anything for you.
That's awesome.
And then, of course, we got to work with the great Goldie Hawn.
Yeah.
And Bruce Willis as well. In fact, I just watched it. It was just on TV the other night, and just flicking through the channels and saw it. I said, "Oh, I got to watch this," and it was so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no question as well. Which is scarier, put on prosthetics on Christopher Lee or Dick Smith?
Who asked that?
Reno.
Oh, Reynolds. Reynolds. The whole thing with the Dick Smith thing is, like, for those of you who don't know who Dick Smith is, Dick Smith was like the godfather of the makeup industry. He was just an incredible makeup artist who's passed away now, sadly. But he had just a wealth of information that he would always share with other makeup artists, because he wanted the industry to really thrive, and he came up with some incredible techniques and everything that we still use today. But Richard and Peter had brought Dick Smith out here to New Zealand for about 2 weeks. It's just kind of like as like a thank you to the crew of working so hard on the films at this point. And so Dick came out, and I had known Dick from back in L.A. I met him. In fact, I met him back on Death to Come for the first time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dick was a makeup consultant for Kevin Haney on that, because they did some very beautiful subtle age makeups on Meryl Streep and Bruce Willis. But Dick Smith, Dick talked like this. He's got a little bit of a lisp, and his voice was high and low. And, Richard and I were supposed to take Dick to the South Island for a weekend, as like a change of scenery and someplace for him to look at. Last minute, something came up with Richard and he couldn't go, and so he goes, "Mate, I'm sorry, I can't go." I said, "So you're gonna have to take Dick over to the South Island on your own." It's like, just me by myself. It's like, wow.
Wow.
So I thought, this is great. This is one-on-one time with the master.
It's a mandate. Yes.
It was incredible. So we had an incredible time, and then and on Dick's left hand, his ring finger is missing. So he's got like a Navi hand. He's got like he's got 4 fingers.
Yeah.
And the way that happened is that he told me the story that years ago he was working on a film, and he was going on location, and he was getting his makeup kit together, and everybody was getting on the back of his pickup truck to go to the location. And everybody was jumping on the truck, and Dick got his makeup case, put it in the back of the truck, and he reached over and put his hand on the back of the tailgate of the truck to pull himself up. And the driver thought everybody was on and just started taking. Unfortunately, Dick's his wedding finger got caught on the tailgate and left with his ring and his finger, and left him behind. Oh, it's awful. It was terrible. And so it basically tore it off from this joint, I believe. And so of course they rushed him to the hospital. And they said, well, we're gonna stitch this up. And Dick said, well, I don't want to have just a stump here. I said, that stump's not going to do me any good at all. I said, the whole thing out. So he had them all the way down to this joint here. He had them take out this whole thing.
Wow.
And fuse these together like that.
Yeah.
And so when you see it, it just looks totally normal.
Yeah.
But anyways, I wanted to have a piece of something to remember Dick by, and I asked him. I said, would you mind if I took a hand cap with your? He calls it his Mickey Mouse hand.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse hand. And he goes, yeah, sure, of course you can. He said, well, why don't you do my whole head? I said, really? So we do a full head cap, and so Francis Hawker and Ben Hawker did the face cast on him, and because I wanted to take photos of the whole process while they were doing that. But what I had to do first is I had to put on a ball cap on Dick Smith. And I thought, oh God, that was already a nightmare there, because putting a ball cap on the world's greatest makeup artist in the world. And so I got these photos where I'm putting on this ball cap, and Dick is looking into a mirror. And then he would just sit there and he'd go, so you're going to do it that way?
Yeah. Oh,
God.
I hate that.
It was the worst thing. It was the worst. It was the worst ball cap I'd ever done. It's like I start to glue it down here, and then I start to do this side, and this side would pop up, and it was a nightmare.
Oh, that's the worst thing. So I can say to you, I had that at work for the first couple of years too. I'll be painting something, and they'll come past. Oh, that's how you do it, eh? I'm like, oh, that's the worst thing you can say to someone who's new or nervous. Oh, that's terrible.
Or you're gonna do it that way, huh?
Yeah, that's like, oh, don't say that, man. When you try, do something new for the first time, you can't come say it to someone who's doing something new for the first time.
Yeah, so Reynolds, to answer your question, it's like, it's a bit of a toss-up between, Christopher Lee and Dick Smith. I'm gonna spit down the middle of that.
Yeah, man. All right, there's more questions. There's one here. Did you work on a music video for series of a Down? You know what that is? I have no idea what that is.
Oh yeah, System of a Down. No, I didn't. But I'm great friends with them, and but I never had a chance to work on one of the videos. I'd love to. They've got some really great videos. So maybe one of these days. Yep.
Someone asked about what's the transition from fictional spiritual effects to digital. Was it quite difficult for you to go from?
It was. I went in kicking and screaming because I didn't want to do it at first, to be honest. Because what had happened was, I was still working over at What a Workshop, and we had just finished making the fake body of the actor Sean Bean, who plays Boromir.
Yeah.
And it was, in fact, it's I think it's one of my favorite pieces that I painted there. And it was so we had like a life cast of Sean Bean, and I remember Ben Hawker had to go back and resculpted it because in the life cast Sean was kind of smiling. He didn't look very dead,
Yeah.
but Ben did a good job at just making it more kind of neutral and dead-like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, we cast the head and the hands in silicone, and I painted it up. And Dominique and I think and Fiona and a few others did a lot of the hair work, and they punched in like a full beard on him. So, and to punch in the hairs, what you have to do is you get one hair at a time, and you get a needle, and in the eye of the needle, you cut it at an angle, like a 45-degree angle, and then you put the other end into a holder so you don't get poked. And basically, with that needle, you get the hair, and get it and push it into the silicone.
Yeah.
And then when you pull the needle out, the hair stays in there. So depending on the angle that you punch it into is the way that the hairs grow. Like, all our hair.
Yeah.
And he was at the time the character Boromir has more like a goatee, and so but here it was just very
stubby.
Short. So stubble, and so then they had to shave all this back, which looked really great.
Yeah.
But anyway. Joe Lettieri, who runs What a Digital, came through the shop just to check out the stuff we were working on, and he saw this, saw the dead body of Sean Bean, and he says, "Wow, this looks so real." I said, "Man, look at that!" And he says, "You see the veins and everything." And I just explained to him. I said, "Well, this is just it's all the base of it is the silicone material, but the painting that I do, my technique is I paint with layers with an airbrush. It's all painted on the surface, but I've got tricks to make things appear like they're really deep into the skin, like the veins and that kind of stuff, and then slowly building up from that to where you finally paint in the fine capillaries over the top of the surface, which the capillaries are close to the surface of the skin, so they're quite sharp. And like it's kind of like an illusion, makes it feel a lot different than what it is." And Joe said, he says, "Wow, this looks so real." He says, at that time I had painted a bust of Gimli. Of Gollum, and to try to come up with a skin color for him. And Peter and Fran and Philip finally picked one, and it was a really pale looking, sickly kind of a skin color. And anyways, when I painted that went over to What a Digital for the texture artist to use as a reference to paint Gollum. And Joe said, he says, "Well, that little bust that you painted of Gollum for us?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, the texture artists are having a really hard time trying to duplicate what you painted on that." I said, "And now that I understand a little bit more about your process and how you actually painted that, building up with all these layers," he said, how'd you like to learn some texture painting?" And I said, does that involve a computer?" And Joe goes, "Yeah." And I said, "No." I said, "No, thanks, Joe." I said, my brain doesn't work that way. I'm technically challenged, and I still am to this day. I said, "Thanks, but no thanks." And he says, "Oh, come on, give it a try." And I remember Richard Taylor was there with me as well. And Richard goes, "Oh, come on, mate, give it a try."
Oh, of course he would.
And so I had my office. My office was upstairs, and at the time, what still is now, not my office, What a Digital is directly behind What a Workshop.
Yeah,
at least
that's
one
right.
house is the main houses.
Yeah.
And Joe says, "Look, you don't even need to leave your office. We can bring you a computer into your office, and we'll send over a texture painter who can teach you the basics on how to texture paint, and then maybe in trade, maybe what you could do is that maybe you can teach him on how you practically airbrush."
Yeah.
It's like, all right. So I tried it, and they sent over this. He's become a very dear friend. His name is Sergey Neshnikov, Russian.
Oh, yeah. That's
And
right.
at that time, he did not speak so good English.
Yeah. Oh, no.
You guys sent me over this guy whose English isn't that great. And he's going to teach me all the technical stuff.
That's awesome.
This is going to be fun. And,
Typical Witter.
But Sergey was great, and we got on great, and he taught me so much, and he was really the first one to teach me the texture painting stuff, and then and I did teach him some practical painting, and so that's kind of how I got started in the digital side, and because I painted Gollum in the computer, it was Sergey and myself that painted him,
Yeah.
But I painted all the skin tones, and I built up all my layers just like I do with normal airbrushing.
Yeah.
And then what I understood that once I painted, then it would go to the department called the shaders, who are these magicians that would make the skin look even more translucent and make it look, shiny or make it matte,
Yeah.
or something like that. And so that was kind of my start into what a digital, and I became more and more involved with them because at the time they didn't really have as you could say, like a creature art director. So
Yeah.
I kind of I became the liaison between the practical side of Weta Workshop and then to the digital side over at Weta Digital.
Yeah.
So going kind of back and forth, and throughout the time, I became more and more involved with Weta Digital as they needed more kind of a creature art direction and stuff on all the other creatures. And some of the other ones that I painted the Fell Beast.
Yeah.
Was another creature that I painted.
That was
And
cool.
I just kind of did a lot of just art directing the other texture artists and giving them reference of stuff to look at and use for inspiration.
Yeah. I mean, like that's always my advice to people who are new in the industry. Do all the physical stuff first. You said you gotta do painting, try airbrushing, then try digital stuff. Same with like costume making. You want to learn 3D, make something out of clay first, and then go to ZBrush. Try the old school way first before you jump into a digital. Because if you know the fundamental of doing stuff with your hands, then you'll pick up more digital stuff a lot more quicker.
Yeah. No, and I say pretty much the same thing too. And it's I see too many portfolios out there where a lot of people out there that do some incredible digital artwork and stuff, but they don't have the fundamentals of being able to traditionally be able to sketch or draw. And I think those kind of skills are very important to be able to do both. And I think you're right. Is like being able to sketch something first, and then you can then I tell them you can get that sketch, scan it, take it into the computer, and play around with Photoshop. And Photoshop is just an amazing tool. But you shouldn't rely totally on just the digital side, or you shouldn't rely totally on the practical side. I think it's important to, especially in this day and age, to learn both. Really. And I think that kind of stuff is where I get really, really impressed when I see somebody's portfolio. When I see a final product, it looks amazing. I said, well, let me see. I want to see the steps on how you did this. And so they'll show like a step-by-step that they sketched this out. And it could have even been a sketch or an idea on a napkin. And then I took this idea and I scanned it and, finessed it on Photoshop and, and made it into a collage and just brought all these pieces together and came up with this final piece. So that kind of stuff I get really impressed with.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Every time you draw your best pictures when it's on a scrap piece of paper on a napkin, always the best picture every time, guarantee. Right. All right. Just a question here. Kong apes or the one Pongo of the Umbrella Academy, which is your favorite ape? Which one you like the most?
Oh boy, that's a tough one because we had so much fun. With Dr. Pogo. And King Kong was always one of my favorite films as well. If I have to pick, I'd probably say probably Planet of the Apes. Just because from that standpoint, it's like there's so many other different apes. Maurice the orangutan was one of my favorites, and there's so many people's favorite as well. And Caesar, of course, was just incredible. And Bad Ape, I love Bad Ape from the last film. And it was really interesting to see also just the technology from the film 3 compared to film 1. Film 1 still looks amazing and stuff, but film 3, the advancements in the technology that Weta Digital did was just really incredible. You forget that you're looking at you shouldn't be thinking that you're looking at a digital character or anything. It's like they're so realistic, especially the way they interact with the human people. And just great stuff. So my answer would be probably Planet of the Apes. But King Kong and Dr. Pogo are really
close second. Close second. All right. So question here: how many face casts do you have, and what is your favorite?
I think I probably have over 300 face casts that I've been collecting for many, many years. You know, a lot of my I've taken myself, and a lot of them I trade. It's like, you know, as makeup artists, we trade like baseball cards. Just like, you know, you know, a
That's
friend will
awesome.
say, hey, do you have an Arnold Schwarzenegger? I said, yeah, I've got a
Yeah,
couple of those. And I say, well, what do you got? And he goes, well,
that's awesome.
I've got so and so, and it's like, I'll trade you that for that. It says, no, 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 no. It says, I'll trade you that plus this and that.
That's awesome. So
But I think all my out of my favorites, I've actually got a couple. There's a beautiful one that I was given years ago of Sean Connery, and it was from Highlander.
oh yeah,
You know, there could only be one.
I know, that's awesome
And
movie.
It's really a beautiful life cast that I got years ago. So that's probably one of my favorite ones. And I've also got Grace Kelly is another great one, and Katharine Hepburn. Just really beautiful faces. I mean, I've always been so fascinated with faces and stuff, which is why I do makeup stuff as well.
Yeah.
But just looking at all the faces I've got, you know, because, you know, of course, you know, no two are the same.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing, some of the cheekbones, the Katharine Hepburn's cheekbones and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just
Oh, some pretty cool way. Yeah.
amazing stuff. Yeah.
So which one, like, well, you talk about trading cards, right? So which face worth the most? Which one that you have that everybody wants? Which one's like, if you're going to trade something, that one's like worth like the golden card that you have in your pocket?
It's probably the last face cast of Christopher Lee that was taken. It was done over in the UK before he passed away, obviously. But yeah, that's pretty valuable, I think.
Yeah, nice. So definitely sound like an amazing guy. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, question here: did your background in makeup make it easier to transition to digital? I guess so.
Yeah. Doing the practical stuff, just kind of like we were talking about earlier, doing the practical stuff really helped a lot with that kind of transition, especially for my techniques of painting. As I said, it's like I took those techniques that I had painting traditionally and took them into the digital world. And at the time, I was painting in a program called Studio Paint, which was part of my eye. It was, and basically, I just, you know, painted and painted just with all my layers. I just pretended, like, you know, just pretend that this is like a real silicone head, you know, and just do all your stuff on it. But I remember in Studio Paint, it's like you had to once you painted it, something, it's like you couldn't rotate the head, you know, because as soon as you did that, you needed to bake the color down to the skin. So you start to move it, and the color would stay there, and the head would move like this, and all of a sudden the color was on his eyeball. You're just like, no. Trying to get it to rotate back to that exact spot was just a nightmare. I'll never forget that. Of course, now it's a bit easier with Mari, which is the 3D paint program that What a Digital came up with. But also, you know, painting in ZBrush, which I love as well, because you can paint away and you can add displacement to it.
Yeah.
But again, just to go back to your question, yes, it definitely helped a lot in transitioning to the digital side. And I'm always trying to do that. I'm always trying to bring as much of the practical side of stuff into the digital world. Another example of that was, again, with my friend Sergey and Jess Powley, that we came up with a technique of doing these things called skin scans, because we needed to develop some new kind of displacement maps. Now, displacement maps means all the displacement for the skin, like all the pores and things like that. And so normally we would take photographs of somebody that would be with a filter on there to take away all the shiny stuff. And we would turn that photograph into a black and white and bring up the contrast. So basically, as a displacement map, everything that was dark, like a pore, was going into the skin, and everything that was light was going to be sticking out. And so that's what we would use for the displacement. But we figured out a way to do extracting the textures from all the life casts that I had. But using new face casts, because when you do a face cast on somebody, it's amazing that you get all this incredible pore texture and everything. And And I remember it was Sergey that said, he says, "Oh, I wish there was a way we had like a translucent material that we could scan." I said, "Well, we got silicone." So what we do is we took a life cast on somebody, and then we used the silicone that I used for making the puppets with. Now the silicone, it was a material called 1068 was the number of it. It's not water clear. It's a little bit kind of milkish, but it's very translucent. Anyways, mixed it up and we pour it over the life cast, and we tilt the life cast up and let it just kind of totally slop off. After it cures in a couple hours, we can get it and peel it off of the face cast, and you have this thin kind of wobbly thing, this skin, which is about the thickness of a latex glove. And but when you get it and hold it up to the light, you can see all the detail, all the pores and everything. And then what we would do is that we would kind of pattern make it because we wanted to scan it, so we needed it to lay down as flat as possible. So we would cut the forehead out, cut the nose out, and the jowl pieces we would cut as separate pieces or sometimes as one piece. And we cut darts in it and get it and lay it down, and we put it into a scanner, a flatbed scanner. And we scanned it at a really high resolution. And then we would get it and take it into Photoshop, where we would run it through some actions to bring up the contrast of all the pores and stuff, and turn those into displacement maps. And we did that. We developed that for the first Avatar movie.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, you know, and it worked out so well. It's like we were the first company to ever do anything like that before. Yeah. It's just because with a lot of the digital companies at the time, most of them were, you know, all the guys there were pretty much digital, and then on the practical side, they were totally separate. So there was not a lot of crossover the way that there is now. And so, you know, I think I was one of the first ones to kind of make that jump, that scary leap a long time ago to join the dark side. But as I said, I'm always trying to bring in as much practical into the digital world. And that means also bringing in, I've got a huge collection of skulls, because I helped start a company back in Los Angeles called Bone Clones. And if you look at boneclones.com, you'll see the incredible products that they have there, but all sorts of skulls and skeletons and things. And so we have a huge, we have a bunch of these kind of skulls and skeletons that I have throughout the company that the modelers can use as reference, and the creature guys who do all the rigging for all the characters use it for reference. So it's just brilliant stuff to have. So I think it's really important to have, you know, practical physical stuff all around you that can totally inspire you.
Oh, big time.
Rather than just going onto YouTube or going onto the internet and looking at photos.
Yeah, that's what I love about New Zealanders too. You know, obviously we have to make do what we have. You know, we haven't got everything down here, so you have to make things up as you go, as you need it. You know, that's what I love about the technology that digital came up with. You know, for all the film they do and the stuff we do and the workshop too, which is really cool. You know, really inspiring to know that it's always continuous problem solving. You know, we would never stop. Okay, we made it. That's what we do. We're going to stop there. We're always trying to push it to the next level, which is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And there's sometimes where you don't need to reinvent the wheel again, but there's ways that you can do something, even though you've done the same product before, but you can do something, whether it's with a material or just a bit of a technique, you know, just to make it, you know, that much better. Yep.
So here's a question. So is there a piece of work that you did that you're really proud of, but sadly never seen the light of day? Maybe like Frodo Gollum type makeup?
Yeah, there's been a lot of bits and pieces of stuff that we've done that never made it to film, even design-wise. You know, lots, especially probably more design stuff than anything, which never really gets selected or for whatever reason. So that kind of stuff is like, oh, I kind of like that one a lot. You know, I wish I would have liked to have seen that, you know, come to life. But oh well, that's just the way it is. It's like when you design stuff for a film or show, it's not for you. That's when you do your own stuff. You know. You know, which I do quite a bit of, and I've got my own website called Gino Acevedo, GinoAcevedoArt.com. And if you go there, sorry. Keep going. No, if you go there, you'll see some of my artwork and stuff. It's just I do things with lots. I love my animals and stuff. So
here we go. That's pretty much
gorilla piece that I did. But also, you know, I love all my monsters. So I still print of all these. And this is one of my favorite pieces I've done. I call this the Angelic Reaper.
Well, that's cool.
And yeah, so I've got lots of pieces like that. You know, quite horrific, scary kind of stuff. And
That's how it is.
I always really love the translucent stuff, like even like the deep sea fish. A lot of the
Yep.
stuff is kind of inspired by that,
Yep.
like anglerfish and things like that.
Yep.
But yeah. So if you go
Is
online, if you find something you like,
Yeah.
you know, drop me a line and
Yeah.
and I'll sign it for you.
Yeah, man, that's the best way. But I was going to say before, I mean, like, it's me too. But like, obviously, working in Weta is a beautiful place to be. But I wanted to make sure that I keep doing my own thing as well. You know,
Mm.
I kind of take it as a learning process. I'm being taught all this awesome technique, and I take it home and I practice it. Then when I bring it back to the workshop again, I refine the technique that I've learned yesterday. So that's how I kind of take it. You know, and it's so much fun learning new skills. You know.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's really important. It's like, you know, never stop learning. You know, I
Yeah.
get a lot of people ask me, so what's the best piece we've ever done? And I tell myself I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that the last piece I do, you know, before I kick the bucket, I hope that'll be the best piece.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, as you said, just never stop learning. It's like, you know, I love to surround myself with a lot of, you know, very talented people, and my friends are all very talented and skilled, you know, and you being one of them.
Oh, thank you.
It's just amazing. And you've taught me so much as well.
Yeah.
And so it's just all that kind of stuff that you can pick from everybody and learn something, as well as you give back as well. You know, It's like, you know, you teach them things. And so it's just, it just kind of goes around in circles, you know, so it's a lot of fun.
Oh, big time is, you know, for me, you know, skill sharing is such a big thing that I picked up from the cosplay community anyway, because that's where it kind of like really, the cosplayers are great at doing tutorial videos. They're trying to teach each other stuff. So it's really cool to keep that going in the film industry too. As I said, like, we have to keep learning, keep processing and progressing, and keep teaching the next generation that's coming up. It's really important to teach them the old ways, not just using ZBrush. You have to do sculpting with clay. You have to do airbrush work first. You know, as I said, you have to crawl before you can walk, before you can run, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And another thing that I always thought about is like, I remember when Velcro first came out.
Oh,
know,
yeah.
that's how old I am. But when Velcro came out, it's like, you know, all the tennis shoes and stuff had Velcro straps, you know, and so, and I thought, you know, I bet you there's going to be a generation of kids out there that have no idea how to tie their shoes.
Yeah.
So it's that's why, as we say, just going back to the whole thing again, I think it's just so important to you know, to be able to do the practical stuff. And, you know, one of the things that I was mentioning to a lot of schools that I do talks at with kids is like, you know, everybody in here can afford a pencil and a piece of paper. Not everybody in here can afford a computer with Photoshop and all these other, you know, tools and stuff to work with. But to have that pencil and paper and to be able to draw and to just keep practicing. And, you know, you don't have to be Leonardo da Vinci or anything you know, as amazing as that. But it's just, it's such a great thing to have this up here. You have this brain. And to get these ideas that you have and have them transfer down through your arm into your hand and then put it down on paper, you know, and that kind of stuff come to life. I think that's just so exciting. I mean, I get the biggest out of that all the time. That doesn't happen all the time for me, but when I do something that I really like, I thought, wow, okay, that's how it is. It's a good one. You did that. And it's like, yeah, I did that. Yeah. I wish it would happen more often, but it's like, but it's all a learning process, and it's like, and it's just, you know, you should learn from every piece that you do, you know, especially your failures.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, like, one thing I'll add to that is, like, when you draw something, when you talk about failure, don't be scared to just make mistakes. You know, when you do, I like doing thumbnails. Okay, nice and quick. You know, I might get an A3 piece of paper, and I force myself to do 20 thumbnails. Real quick, real ugly. That's the best way to get your idea, because some people who like to start off drawing, they try and get that one perfect picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, don't worry about that. Do like 20 of them. Do a quick thumbnail, do quick sketches, and from there you see all these happy accidents. And you can pick one that's quite cool, or pick 2 or 3. You can put them together to get that perfect one.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of my big downfalls that I'm still trying to teach myself, is that I've always been so detail oriented.
Yeah,
it's like I have a hard time loosening up. I want to get in there and start putting in the fine hairs and the fine details and stuff like that. But so whenever I'm designing something new, I'm starting to do more and more of that, of just having a loose hand. And I remember, back in college and taking life drawing classes back then. The instructor was a great instructor. We would do like a 10-minute drawing of a live model. And then he would come over and he'd look at it, and he'd walk around with his hands behind his back and looking at all the work. He'd go, because you guys are getting too tight.
Yep.
That's it. Next drawing's going to be 30 seconds.
Yep.
How can we do something in 30 seconds?
I guess like we get too excited. You get so narrow vision onto something. Like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to draw that. No, draw the whole thing. It's like, oh, okay. I guess that's when you're so detail-minded. You see the detail straight away. You forget to see the whole picture or the full figure first.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the same when I'm designing a costume. I'll do a quick sketch of the whole body, then I'll start doing the helmet. Get all detail. No, stop that. Do the whole body first, and then go do detail.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, well, it's been an hour. My last question to all my guests is: if you have unlimited resources, what will you do with it? Like, if Richard or someone Digi come tomorrow, we're gonna give you workshop at Digi. What you want to make? What are you going to do? What would you do?
What would I do?
What's something what's in the back of your mind? Oh, I wish I could make this.
Probably make a really cool gorilla costume.
Oh yeah. Life size?
Life? Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Something that I could wear.
Oh yeah, man.
Gorilla costume that I could wear.
Oh, we can work on that. We can make you a costume. We started making masters. We can do helmets next time. We can start do it. We can work one piece at a time as we do a little crafting section. That'd be quite cool.
Nice.
Yeah, man. No, awesome, Gino. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun to talk to you. Looking forward to looking forward to catching up for another crafting section now that we can. On level 2, so we'll have a little session again soon.
Absolutely, yeah. Everybody be safe out there, and wear your masks in public places, please, and get immunized.
Yeah, and hopefully
very important.
We get to travel and see each other really soon. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
All right, everybody.
Thanks, man. See ya. Bye. Awesome, guys. How cool was that? It's really cool to have a chat with Gino. Obviously, one of my heroes back in the days of watching Lord of the Rings and seeing all the extended edition behind the scenes, and able to hang out with him every now and then and do some crafting. It's really cool. And I thought it'd be quite cool to bring him on as a live guest to keep on inspiring you guys to create, pretty much. As he said, always start from the bottom, always get back to the basics, do your drawings and stuff out of pen and paper, pencil and paper, and then go from there. You just never know where it's going to take you. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll try to get someone for next week too. This has been a lot of fun, and I'll keep on definitely doing them. Have a good day, stay safe, catch you again soon. See ya, bye.